Okay, looks like we're live. Good morning, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us here this morning. I do want to take just a quick second to thank our sponsors, Citizen Cosmos and OmniFlix Media. Citizen Cosmos is a content producer in the Cosmos ecosystem. They make really great podcasts and great interviews, as well as the Cyber Network, which is a project of theirs. Decentralized search engine. I would encourage you guys to go check them out, as well as OmniFlix Media, which makes a decentralized content management system for media production. So thank you guys very much for hosting. Today, I have with me John from Secret Network, or actually Enigma, and we'll get into that in a bit. But John, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself real quick?
Yeah, sure. Well, first of all, thanks for the opportunity, Jack, and hi, everyone.
Absolutely.
My name is John. I am one of the co-founders at Enigma, and I lead product there. And Enigma is the main contributor, or one of the main contributors of Secret Network. We do a lot of protocol level coding and certain applications. So that's kind of what I do, and excited to be here today.
Yeah, absolutely. Another product guy. Do you want to tell me a little bit about what path you took to get to Enigma? Because there's not a lot of folks working on blockchain privacy tech these days.
Yeah, I mean, my path was like quite interesting, or at least for me.
Yeah.
I have a non-technical background, and I did like the very traditional consulting background after college, and then I was like, I don't really like this. Let me go to business school and figure out what I want to do. And then at that time, I got into Bitcoin, and this was right before I started my business school at MIT. And I was like, okay, let me see what MIT has to offer in terms of like learning more about Bitcoin. And my first kind of introduction, or like, was through Dan Elitzer, who was at Idea Collabs and now is leading his new fund called Nascent. He was like, this is how you get started. And then I got involved in the Bitcoin Club at MIT, hosting the first MIT Bitcoin Expo. This was 2015 March, like pre-Ethereum. A bunch of people were there. Vitalik was there. And then through those circles, I met my current co-founder, Guy Ziskin. At the time, Enigma white paper was not released, and then like when it came out, I was like, whoa, this is huge. And I could see the value of privacy preserving computations, because when I was doing consulting, we would get paid a ton of money just to do this kind of like trusted data intermediation. And I was like, whoa, like here's a way to kind of break that. And yeah, I was like, well, this is super interesting. And then that's how kind of like I got into the whole ecosystem. And then after graduation, I tried to do my own thing for a bit, didn't work out, and then eventually joined Enigma.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty cool.
Thank
so
you.
you're the head of product there, which has been my role throughout Cosmos for a while.
Yeah.
How do you think about product management? Because that's one of those roles that's like can go all kinds of directions.
Yeah. Well, I think the way I see it is the reason we focus on privacy is because we believe privacy is good for adoption of these decentralized technologies, primarily because of two reasons. One is there are improved usability features through privacy, and like an example would be like some eliminating things like commit reveals, or in mixes having like single transactions. So like that's one area I see in terms of like, can this be a usability gain? Front-running resistance is one of these things. And then another bucket is like we could build things in a privacy preserving blockchain that we cannot in a non-privacy, like in a regular blockchain. And like an example to that is like like a game. You could like think about poker. You cannot play poker in things like Ethereum, because everyone would know everyone else's hand. When we try to prioritize things, we have a couple of metrics we care about, and then we think about like what what product direction can help us get there. And thus far, or the things we care about at Secret Network are we try to go to other Ethereum ecosystems, other blockchain ecosystems, and provide value to those users rather than expecting everyone to just like straight out come to us. And we do that through bridges. So like we measure how much value is locked on on our network. That's a way to see how much value we're delivering to the ecosystem. And we've chosen thus far to take things that already have users and try to improve the user experience around those things. So one thing that we did was the secret swap that we launched last week. This is a front-running resistant AMM.
Well, but before we get to that,
Yeah.
that's Secret Swap, really, really cool, by the way, and definitely want to dig into that in some detail. But as far as total value locked, 71 million, 100 million's right around the corner. And especially with Secret Swap just ramping up last week, I expect that number to go up into the right for a while, which is really, really exciting. The poker use case is one of those ones that I think is really fun, and I'm looking forward to seeing on chain. But you guys have actually been really kind of first to market in deploying a lot of new technologies on top of Cosmos. One of them being the WASM VM. I think you guys and the Terra folks were the first ones to bring that to production. We just had some news yesterday that the team behind that is going to be launching their own chain focused on regulatorily compliant applications. But that's a really exciting new technology. How has working in Rust on top of the SDK been?
Well, I can only speak for my colleagues because I actually haven't done the work myself. But I think we had a really good, we still have a really good working relationship with the CosmWasm team. One of our teammates, Reuven, actually became a core contributor to the process. I think it was a very collaborative process. We had a couple of channels where we would constantly bounce back ideas and work together. We need to change a couple of things on the vanilla CosmWasm in order to enable the module to run inside an enclave. And maybe I should talk a bit about how the network works for people.
Yeah, definitely. A quick overview would be really, really awesome.
So the way Secret Network achieves smart contract level privacy is by having a group of validators that run trusted execution environments. And for those of you who may not be familiar with these things, trusted execution environment is a separate enclave in the hardware where it's sealed from everything else. So technically speaking, and in most practical cases, the validators cannot access that area. And what we do,
practically speaking, that's Intel SGX, correct?
It is. It's Intel SGX. And what we do is through using these enclaves and some software encryption methods, we're able to have a network-wide private key that is generated and stored inside these enclaves, and it's passed between validators in like a symmetric encryption scheme. So no one really knows this private key. And when a user is submitting transactions into the network, what happens is, I'm just gonna pass this high level, but they create a symmetric key using the user's private key and the network's public key. And all the inputs that go to the mempool are encrypted with this key. And the validators which pull in the data from the mempool to compute on are able to, they pull that data into their compute module, which is a version of CosmWasm that's running inside the TEE. And they can decrypt it there because they know the user's public key and they know the network private key. So once the data is decrypted inside the enclave, all 50 validators, that's the number we have in the network at the moment, compute, they share hashes on chain and come to consensus through Tendermint or Cosmos SDK.
So that's just pause there real quick. John just said a lot of really, really exciting things. One, smart contracts on top of Cosmos. I think you guys are one of the first networks to do that, but we're going to increasingly see that. So this is Ethereum style smart contracts that are native to the Cosmos world. Another thing is private smart contracts. So the results and workings of those computations are kept shielded from the broader public network. So the way that you expect a bank to work today, where no one has access to your individual account details, like that's how Secret Network works by default, which is pretty cool. And the other thing, I think you said you've got a shielded mempool too, which has a lot of applications for DEXs.
Yeah, exactly. So just to clarify one thing, we have a network token, which is called Secret. It's similar to Atom, does everything that Atom does. That is not private, but we have like tokens like
there's a lot of issues with having a private token for your staking token that you avoid by doing that.
Yes.
So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and that's a design choice for sure. But we can mint tokens on the network like ERC20s or Cosmos 20s, and those are like all contracts are encrypted. So yeah, the inputs about them are encrypted. So imagine you have this privacy token Secret ETH, right? You bridge your ETH to Secret Network. We've minted you a privacy token. It's like wrapped ETH with privacy. When you're interacting with that contract, say you want to send me 5 ETH. When you look at the network, like both on the mempool level or also on a block explorer level, what you see is people see that you have interacted with that contract, but people don't know whether you've sent it to someone, whether you use it in an application, what's the magnitude, like number of tokens that you're dealing with. All that is hidden from everyone, which makes it impossible, for front-running attacks.
Sorry, technical issues with the headphones.
No worries.
But yeah, that's really, really cool. So I think that's a nice time to start now that folks understand now that folks understand sort of what Secret Network is about, how it works at a high level. Let's talk about some applications. And I think the AMM is the one that you guys have launched most recently, and I'm personally extremely excited about that.
Yeah, me too. The AMM is I guess it's our innovation is just like the privacy part, whether it's like creating privacy tokens or like experiences with privacy, or in this case like front-running resistance. The AMM itself is similar to like Uniswap V1. It's like a two assets swap function. What's interesting is because this AMM and also like most of the other products that we're building and we're encouraging the community to build all use this secret token standard, which is like ERC20s in our network, which are privacy tokens. And what makes the AMM especially interesting is because it works with these tokens, with these secret tokens, the AMM becomes front-running resistant in that if I am, interacting with the AMM code, you do not see whether I'm trying to swap, let's say, secret to ETH, and because you don't know that, or you don't know how much I'm trying to swap, like you cannot create a transaction that is extracting value from me. So that's like what's really cool about the AMM. It's also super cheap because it's not on Ethereum, yeah, right now it just does swaps, and the launch of the AMM was very cool for us because our like transaction metrics or daily transactions went up like 3x post AMM launch. So like if you look at like the last 14 days before the AMM and after the AMM, it's like a
secret up to the right. Let's go.
Yeah, exactly. And what's cool is like it's so cheap to do ARB. Like if you have like some tokens that are trading on Binance, and then you have the AMM here, it's like you can just like ARB in between two platforms so easily. I do want to write a bot, or maybe Hummingbot guys, call to action.
That would be fun.
Yeah, like imagine having these Terra's, like, has Mirror and TerraSwap. Like these bots would be, I think, very interesting to ARB. And also,
John, it's really funny. I've written a number of, like, the relayer basically sits and listens to multiple data sources, and then there's a central loop where we're feeding those events. I have a lot of great boilerplate code for writing bots, and maybe later this year I'll get some time.
Yeah, maybe we should like jam after this.
Yeah, definitely, because I think that this gets to our next topic, which is like, where are these assets on Secret coming from? And you guys built a bridge over to Ethereum, which is one of the first, like, easily functional. I would say the first easily functional bridge from Ethereum to Cosmos. The Terra bridge exists, but moving from Ethereum over to Cosmos is like a little bit scary sometimes.
Yeah.
And on Secret, you've got nice visibility, nice wallet experience on both sides. And Cicely, yeah, that is the URL. And so anyway, yeah, talk a little bit about the bridge and how that has been going.
Yeah. So I would want to add, so with respect to bridge, one thing we care about as a team is we really want to ship things fast and give users something that they can play with, experiment with, because I think that's really valuable.
Ship and iterate.
Ship
and iterate. Guy over there, yeah.
Yeah, and our approach to bridge, and also to the AMM lounge has been kind of like that. The bridge right now, allows users to lock assets on Ethereum. So it's ETH and other ERC20s, and you can mint these assets on Secret Network. And when you mint them as these privacy tokens. So when you bring your ETH or DAI or Link, whatever, and mint them on the Secret Network side, you get a privacy preserving link. And as you mentioned, right now they're around 70 million in value, more or less. You can trade these assets in the AMM when we have new products coming up, and there's a nice pipeline that we can kind of touch upon. You get to use these assets with privacy, and what's really interesting is most people are like, oh, because you're just like a giant tumbler or like tornado, just come back and out. The experience that we're trying to push is to actually have people keep their assets and do things with their assets rather than just using Secret Network as an in and out to gain privacy. And that has a couple of advantages. First of all, if you think about
come for the privacy, stay for the lack of minor extractable value, an amazing casino over here.
Yeah, exactly. That's the goal. The advantages are really the expensive part of the whole bridge experience, like starting at Ethereum and doing a full round, is the process of going back to Ethereum. So you could either do one transaction on Secret Network or 100 transactions on Secret Network. Still, the main thing you pay for is going back to Ethereum. So the more you do, the cheaper your privacy becomes. But moreover, if you think about it, whenever you're having these kind of bridging experiences, or kind of switching from a public ecosystem to a private ecosystem, you leave some trace behind, right? Like when you initially leave Ethereum, and when you come back to Ethereum, you leave some trace behind. And if you're doing one thing, then the amount of information you can leave for people to de-anonymize you is high. That's why Tornado Cash allows you to only mix fixed amounts, etc., etc. But if you come in and do 20 things in the network and then go out, it's almost impossible for anyone to credibly de-anonymize you. So it also adds to your privacy. So Tor, my marketing colleague, loves to call this programmable privacy network effects. But that's the experience that we're going after. And our end goal is to use Peggy and be a part of the IBC play. but it was very important for us to offer this experience as early as possible. So that's our iterate and improve model. We're also exploring bridges to other ecosystems, whether it's Binance Smart Chain or Terra at the moment.
Well, you guys should be able to reuse your bridge stuff for Binance Smart Chain, right?
Yeah, because it's EVM. Exactly.
Yeah. I think we're about to see a lot of Cosmos to Binance Smart Chain bridges.
I think so. And also, like, I was talking to, I think that's the case. And I want to add something that I couldn't touch on the AMM side. Again, similar to this, ship and iterate idea. AMM right now is just doing swaps. In a month or a month and a half, we are going to have a decentralized governance process for the AMM. So we're getting ready to create, a governance token that allows the secret network community to, determine the future of this product. And that's something we're excited about as well.
Yeah, that's really cool. I think that there's a lot of design space for AMMs, and the corner that you guys have carved out with the computational privacy, front-running resistance, and all that stuff, very, very interesting. For folks who aren't familiar, a brief description of this problem. On Ethereum right now, everything is sent in the clear. So if you're sending a transaction to Uniswap, there's about 100 bots looking at your transaction and saying, how can we profit from this? Can we go change the price before this transaction gets in? Miners are involved, so they're able to easily put transactions into blocks ahead of other ones. And it leads to basically what people found out Robinhood was doing, where they were broadcasting in the clear all of their users' stock trades prior to them getting settled, and there was a big hullabaloo. So that's basically what Uniswap does. But yeah, so that's one of the reasons I'm extremely excited about SecretSwap.
And also, like, one thing to add on this, just to show the magnitude of the problem, there's a research group called Miner Extractable Value, and they recently released a dashboard, open source. I tweeted about it if anyone wants to check out. Since the beginning of this year, so like less than 2 months, there has been more than $320 million worth of miner extractable value, mostly front running. And I think 65 or 70% of that value is coming from Uniswap and SushiSwap front runs. So this problem is very real, and people will eventually get to it.
Oh yeah, I mean, we're just at the beginning of it, and the theoretical maximums there that folks are seeing. I know that the Polychain Labs folks have done a lot of research on this, and there's been quite a lot of publicity about this issue recently, especially with the extremely high Ethereum gas prices. So that's pretty cool. Somebody asks in the audience, and I'm going to knock this one out real quick because it's easy. Jack, what's in the mug? Coffee. It's first thing in the morning. So, I think talking about bridges is a good time to transition to talking about IBC. I've been having conversations with your team for about a year now about IBC, and I'm really excited to see you guys integrate. When IBC, and kind of what are the barriers to getting there for you guys?
Sure. So when IBC, the main barrier for us, and this applies to, I believe, almost any Cosmos chain which has built modules on top of the vanilla SDK, is the Stargate upgrades breaks a lot of things in the code. For example, Jack mentioned about in the beginning, like the CosmWasm, the Rust compute module. That's how we do our smart contracts. The Stargate upgrade breaks a ton of dependencies there. We are working on it at the moment, and our goal is to fully move to IBC. When it's live and out there. I don't have an exact date on this at the moment, but yeah, for us the hard part has been just to make sure that when we do the Stargate upgrade, everything that has been working really well over the past 6 months is well tested, and is like, because we don't want to take away from the user experience, whether like something that means something goes wrong or whatever, before we're ready to do that. So we have another couple months ahead of us.
And someone in the chat asks, why is there no Atom trading pair on the AMM? And I think John just answered it here. There is no trading pair for Atom because they don't have the ability to natively move those assets over. Right now, Secret Network only bridges to Ethereum. Once they finish that IBC upgrade, then we will see Atom and other trading pairs on there.
Honestly, this has been something that we kind of explore a ton internally. Like as you mentioned, like the ETH bridge is working well, so we can extend to any EVM based bridge, whether that's Binance Smart Chain or like Phantom is getting a lot of
Phantom so hot right now.
I know everyone is going there. So this is like, this is something we can do. We're trying to minimize like one-off development efforts, and like, we can also extend the bridge to Cosmos. Like it's not that hard for us to do, but like the trade-off that we're trying to kind of like thread gently is whether if we're gonna like have IBC in a month, like is it worth prioritizing that or not? So if you guys really want to see an Atom trading pair, you should kind of like, let's get some movement going online, and we can prioritize this.
Well, John, I can connect you guys with some developers who can help with that Stargate migration, and we can get you Atom and Kava and Akash and all of the Cosmos tokens. Would love to see that, and in fact, I'm looking forward to seeing that. Another audience question here: what are the main differences between Secret and Monero? And that's a great one because there's a good answer to that.
Yeah, so I think the way to think about this is Monero allows you to do private transactions using ring signatures. The way to think about Secret Network is like Ethereum added smart contracting capability, which is like programmable computations on top of Bitcoin. So when you could just transact Bitcoins, now you can do logic and build applications. That's like, in a very simplified term, the way to think about the difference between Monero and Secret. In Secret, you can do private transactions, but you can also create an application which is fully private. One thing we have on mainnet today is an auction contract, and I can say, using an auction contract, something like, hey, I'm selling, I don't know, 100,000 secrets for X many DAIs. And people can bid, and no one gets to see any of the bids. And the contract is able to swap the winning bid and the selling amount in a completely private way. So like these are things that you cannot do with like Monero, Zcash, and all these like payment networks.
Yeah, I think that like obviously this sort of like Bitcoin versus Ethereum difference of being able to do smart contracts and having a lot more functionality there, but I think that there's an interesting differentiator between the two as well, with the use of SGX versus the use of ring signatures. Ring signatures are a very specific cryptographic application that, has potential issues. And people have been shown to be able to potentially de-anonymize a large portion of Monero transactions. SGX is a different security model based on the Intel hardware. And, there are potential attacks against SGX as well as there are against pretty much every cryptographic protocol, but just a different security model there, which I think is interesting.
That's a good point to add.
Okay. All right. Well, John, do you have any last items before we wrap up here?
Not really. I would encourage everyone to come and give a Secret Network a try, either through the Ethereum bridge or
one more time, bridge.secret.network.
Yeah. So right now, what you can do is you can on Uniswap we have we call it wrap secret, like an ERC20 secret pair with ETH. So if you have like no way of accessing secrets, you can go to Uniswap and swap get some wrap secrets in exchange to your ETH. You can bridge that to secret network, and at that point you can do anything that you want with with secrets. Also, if you have any of the assets on the bridge, you can just bring them over and then swap them into secrets. We also have a campaign right now that provides yield to liquidity providers on the bridge, because
how much longer is the LP incentives going?
On the bridge, it's going for another 6 or 5 weeks. I'm not really sure. And the yields are you don't take any risk because you just take one asset. And the last I checked this morning, the yield on ETH is 25%. So farmers
out there, get your pitchforks.
Exactly. It's a good opportunity. You just and yeah, you can just swap assets on the AMM and do a bunch of cool things. You can stake, you can trade privately. My call to action is, if you are a believer in privacy, come join our journey to build decentralized privacy. If you want to farm, come join our journey to build a decentralized privacy hub. And if you have ideas, reach out to us. We'd love to hear your feedback. And then I'll add our community chat or Discord link and forum link, so people can potentially come say hi and join the secret ecosystem.
John, I think one of the interesting things is in the 70s and 80s and 90s, a lot of the people working on sort of computational privacy and cryptography didn't have these economic tools at our disposal. And, you guys don't really care if people are coming over for the privacy or for the farming yields, but it helps the overall privacy of the network, the more value it secures. And I would really encourage people to go check it out. This is one of the first sort of really great bridge user experiences I've seen. You show up at the bridge, you connect your MetaMask and your Kepler, which is sort of a native wallet for the Cosmos ecosystem, and you're able to easily perform those transactions, as well as having visibility on both sides as to when they're confirmed. So I would really encourage people to do that. John, thank you very much for joining us this week, and we're going to go ahead and end the broadcast here. But before we do, I want to say thank you again to our sponsors, OmniFlix Media and Citizen Cosmos. So thank you all very much for your time today, and really appreciate it. See you guys next week. Guest TBD, but I think I'm going to ask the Civ Chain folks, because they just launched the first, basically the first decentralized exchange offering on Cosmos yesterday, which is exciting.
Very cool.
Yeah. So we'll see some more of those on Secret Network soon. But thank you guys very much, and see you all next week.
Have a great weekend, guys.